صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد.
Getting away from Mecca is a conflicting experience. It is like escaping from a city of overwhelming grandeur and pride, and yet not wanting to leave that little space of humility you have created for yourself within the shadows of Kaaba. The rocky terrain of the valley surrounded by arching mountains gives way to Medina. While leaving Mecca, you go through a series of long tunnels opening into the widespread plains of the desert. It's a 7-hour-long journey by bus, but our journey is very different from the one the Prophet must have made. I kept thinking, how did he make that journey? It must have been so difficult. At last, we reached Medina. It's an open, spacious city, unthreatening, undemanding on the face of it. Here we are in a bus driving into the cosmopolitan Medina night, surrounded by shopping plazas, buildings, a great show of wealth, just like any other city in the world. It is when from the corner of your eyes, you see the brightly lit minarets of Masjid Nabawi that your heart beats a little faster. Ya Nabi, you were there when nothing was existing. You're the love of Allah. I slept anxiously that night as we planned to go to the mosque in the morning. My first visit to Masjid Nabawi, and I was overwhelmed. Capable of holding 7 lakh people for prayer at one time. The real magic of the mosque lies in the Riyazul Jannah, indicated by green carpets on its floor. This is what the older real Masjid Nabawi used to be before the expansion. Not everyone can get a chance to enter Riyazul Jannah because of the sheer number of people wanting to be there. I managed to get there, said my prayers, and then wondered, what else could I do for that great man who lay buried there? I was humbled by my mere existence. What could I say to him? Who was I to ask for his forgiveness from God? My prayer was simply a form of one man, one believer, saying salam to the Holy Prophet. And while you feel so meaningless, just looking around at the hundreds of people also makes you feel a part of the bigger whole, a part of the Muslim Ummah, the Ummah that the Prophet himself prayed for, the Ummah that had now gathered where he lay buried to thank him. صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. Medina is home to many ziyarats as well, like the Masjid Qiblatan. It was here when it was revealed to Nabi Kareem that the Qibla would now be the Kaaba. He, in the middle of the prayer, turned from Masjid Aqsa towards Kaaba, and the others behind him followed. Isn't it amazing? Near to this mosque lies the Masjid Quba. Nabi Kareem used to visit and offer namaz here many times during his stay in Medina.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
Medina is also home to the historic Maidan-e-Uhud and Khandaq. This is where the great battle of Uhud took place. The Muslims almost won the battle, but lost it due to one silly mistake. Here, on this mount, Nabi Kareem lost his dearest uncle, Hazrat Hamza. It was a great loss for Nabi Kareem. He mourned for several days after his death. The remains of the other martyred Sahaba-e-Karam lay buried in this field. No one knows where exactly, but this boundary wall contains them all.
اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا.
We stayed in Medina for 2 weeks. These 2 weeks were probably the most relaxing days of my Hajj. But I still miss the Kaaba. By now, I have also grown used to the more active form of worshipping like tawaf and performing umrahs. I needed to get back to Mecca. And finally that day arrived. Once again, we wore our ihrams to perform an umrah which was exactly to follow in the footsteps of Nabi Kareem, the way he went to Mecca and made an umrah before the final Hajj. It is nostalgic to leave Medina, but we had to continue with our journey and to get ready for the magnanimous task ahead of us, the Hajj.
لبيك اللهم لبيك
لبيك اللهم لبيك
لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك
لا شريك لك لبيك
إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك.
We made a small stopover at this beautiful Miqat Masjid to pray 2 rakats of Nafil before entering Makkah for the Umrah.
إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك
I
لبيك.
found this mosque to be the most beautiful and homely architecture among all the ziyaras I have seen so far. It was like a rich man's castle. I wish I'd have a house like this. Just a silly thought that crossed my mind while looking at it.
آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله.
Now we are all set to go. Once again, a 7-hour-long journey through the desert.
وشره من الله.
It's a tough time for me to travel with so many people in one bus, and that too in an ihram, but not as tough as the olden days of Nabi Kareem. I wondered how did Nabi Kareem made this journey each time.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة.
We arrived in Makkah almost at Maghrib time. We also missed our prayers due to the alarmingly increased traffic in Makkah. My anxiety hit me awfully as I knew the crowds would be 10 times more in actual days of Hajj. I performed my Umrah after the Isha prayers. The moment I entered Masjid al-Haram, I felt home. Except now, I had to share my home with an ever-increasing number of pilgrims.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا لا شريك لك لبيك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك.
Finally, I'm back in Mecca with the Kaaba, counting my days for Hajj.
لك والملك.
My anxieties are running high. I woke up at 3 in the morning, wore my ihram, and headed towards the Kaaba for tawaf and Niyat-e-Hajj. Makkah doesn't sleep during the Hajj days. Everybody was walking towards the Kaaba. Masjid al-Haram was filled with an overwhelming number of pilgrims. You could see them everywhere, on the roads, on the floors, and on the streets. It was difficult to find a place to pray. My brother suggested we do Tawaf-e-Qudum, which gives us the liberty to perform Sa'i at the same time on the first day of Hajj. The sight of Kaaba was magical that morning. And finally, I'm about to witness my first day of Hajj. After breakfast, we were driven to the plains of Mina in a bus. I was given a chance to sit on top of the bus. That will take care of my claustrophobia and anxieties. A couple of other group members also joined me in. Makkah was at a halt. There were buses and vehicles everywhere. Everybody is traveling to Mina. Everyone looks the same, all dressed up in white, men and women together. The world seems to be converging at Mina.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. Pergi haji artinya menuju Allah yang esa.
I was surprised that we were put up in Muzdalifah because Mina has become too overcrowded. I wonder if God understands why I wasn't actually at Mina. This is where we had to put up our tents in the Maidan and say the Zohar and Asr prayers together. The cooler in our tents wasn't working, so about 100 of us in one tent were simply sweating throughout. Our inmates, all men, began to strip. This is the story of the Hajj